Good morning, UPB Option Millionaires.com. It's a Thursday. It is January 22nd, 2015. Mario Draghi comes out a little bit with the ECB. QE, to be or not to be? Talking about 50 billion a month, and we'll see exactly what they announce. If it's not to market expectations, expect stocks to fall. We'll see futures are up almost 0.25% here. We've worked our way off the lows on Friday. We've put in some consecutive moves to the upside. We'll see if that continues. In 2015 has been a tough slog for the bulls. Are we putting in some sort of a head and shoulders topping pattern? Even if we get up to this level here at 2080, I'd still be wary, cautious. But we do remain above short-term support, through our trend line across. So are we going to get a move up, or are we going to get the breakdown, put in a lower high, and come down to the October lows? Something to keep an eye on. The U.S. dollar index has been pulling back, but I think Mario Draghi and ECB are going to help to weaken the euro, assuming they don't just poop the bed. And we'll see a move up to a 11, 12-year high on the U.S. dollar index, which is going to further drag on oil, which is actually up almost 2% this morning, crude oil futures. But to me, if you look at this action, this looks like a beautiful flagging action. This would be a flag, bear flag, and we're going to look for a further decline in prices. Gold, we'll pull up gold futures, are down as well. It has a nice spike to start this year. Look at the move up it's had since really the start of the year. And I'm looking for a pullback, and we'll see. We're starting to get it here. Some of the gold miners have been doing quite well. Look at GDX, although it reversed course. It's down over 3% here this morning. If you look, let's pull up a chart. Still looks very bearish. I thought maybe there was a chance it's going to get up to this level here to 25.50. I'm not so sure these days whether or not it's going to get there, and you can see it's kind of overbought. We could see further weakness. How about Amazon? Yesterday, private Twitter account got into the Amazon calls, and I put that trade up in a private Twitter. 295s at $1.14. And Carl Icahn, I don't know if he follows the private Twitter feed or not, but the rumor had it that he was big position in Amazon and was going to spin off this and that. So the stock, while initially when I got into the calls went up to 293, I exited for a nice gain, and then I got back into the 300s at 57 and 64 cents, and then the stock rallied to 306. So those were gosh, a 20-30 minute 10 bagger before pulling back and consolidating the rest of the day at about 297. So you would think if that rumor was not true, the stock would have came all the way back. And you know what? Even if it's not true, I love the chart for Amazon. If you look, pull back from a longer term perspective here on the chart, we're at a really nice point here where we have support at about the 280 level. We have trend line resistance. We break through that. I'm at least looking for a move up to that level, which would be about 325. And there you go. So I'm looking for a move up to that level. I think the action yesterday, in spite of it being just a rumor, nothing substantive, just grab that. There's nothing to substantiate. There we go. That Carl Icahn entered Amazon. I think it's still going to head up to this level, as it has. This trend line has worked in July of last year and most recently at the start of December. Coincides with the Apple flash crash, and that's another one. I mean, when you get into an option trade and then 15 minutes later you get a spike like this, same thing happened in December 1st with Apple. If you pull back and go to the 60-day, got into the Apple puts right at its record high, December 1st, and we had that flash crash. See this big wick to the downside? I mean, it was within minutes. So just getting pretty lucky, I guess, at the end of 2014 and the start of 2015. We had earnings reports out last night. eBay. eBay is a little bit higher, I believe, this morning. Yeah, it's up 2.5%. We have earnings reports from FFIV, which is crumbling. Somebody in the chat room got the 119s for $1.16 or something like that. So that's going to be a great 14 bagger for them. Congratulations. We had earnings report. American Express is weaker. I'm going to buy this dip here, as well as SanDisk got creamed down to 74.30. Analysts out this morning saying buy the dip. So we'll see if it opens lower than 75 this morning. I'll be looking for 77.50 calls heading into tomorrow's Trading session, I think this gap to 95 on SanDisk is ultimately going to get filled. We have earnings tonight after the bell. Starbucks. We'll see how coffee is doing. You look, support here at about the 78.50 level. We have a nice trend line. If it breaks above it, I think we could see 84 bucks for Starbucks. So that's a trade I'd be looking for, possibly some calls on Starbucks. And then before the bell tomorrow, on a Friday, we have McDonald's, which has been breaking down. You know, I look at this chart, and to me, it looks like it's going to pull back to this trend line support here at about 87.50, which would be about a $2.50 move to the downside. So I'm not going to trade it via out-of-the-money stock options for earnings. Let's look at Netflix. Netflix was brought up numerous times. Talked about this at earnings trade. The 380s for $3.70, and you get this. This is what you get. I was talking about a move up over 400. We went to 411, closing up 17, almost 18% yesterday. JB talked about the February calls back on Friday, and those moved nicely up, I don't know, 600-700%. The calls this week that I highlighted on Monday were up significantly as well, so it's a nice move. I was talking about this support level holding, and did it ever hold? We're looking for a continuation of this move. We could head back. Now, if we don't get above the 450 handle, you'll be looking at some sort of a head and shoulders topping pattern. You know, the stock has moved in a sharp fashion in the past, moved up to almost 350, pulled all the way back to 50 bucks, and then Carl Icahn got in and has not looked back. IBM fell post earnings yesterday, down over 2.5%. And you can look, it looks like further weakness is coming. I actually thought a move back up to 170, a nice kiss, before pulling back, but it did not happen. My calls that I bought at 80 cents are worth 1 penny. So if anybody wants to buy those calls off me for a penny, just send me a message on Twitter. Goldman Sachs. Some of the financials have been really beaten down, especially after earnings reports. Goldman Sachs came across sitting right at support here, so it's something I'd look to get into here for a short-term trade for a move back up over 180, and we'll see if that happens. Based on what the QE package coming out of the ECB is this morning, which is actually swiftly approaching. I'm going to have to wrap up this video so I can get my popcorn going so I could just sit there and watch Mario Draghi smirk his way to additional stimulus for the ECB. Yeah, but you know, we know how QE worked. It's actually done the opposite. If you look at bond yields since, I don't know why TLT is not coming up, but let's go into some other charts. American Express. FEYE got into the $33 calls earlier this week. Put in the Option Millionaires private Twitter as well when I got into them at 70 cents. We're doing pretty good on that. FEYE this morning, a top pick at Citigroup. It's a top pick everywhere, it seems. I don't know. You would say everybody's in this trade and it's got nowhere to go but down. But then if you look at it, almost 20% of the stock is in the hands of short sellers. So I look at this move that we're seeing here at the start of the year. Nice pullback, and then another nice pullback. And I'm looking for a continuation up to make a new high here off the lows that we saw in the middle of December. That would get us up to about 37.38 before the next pullback. And we're doing a stair-step kind of appreciation in price. And I think ultimately it's going to head back up. This $46 level for FEY is a longer-term type trade. I love it here. And I'm going to keep adding the calls as time goes by. A couple other stocks I'm looking at here this morning. Caterpillar. I talked about Caterpillar when it was $100 in December. I said it was going to go into the mid-80s. And then you can see what has happened ever since. A really dramatic pullback. We bounced up to 95. I called that too as well. When we hit to 88, I said 95 would be a good spot here for the action to stop after a bounce. And it has indeed. So let's look for that move up to about 89. I might get some calls here. See a move up if you pull the trend line across 88.50, 89, and then further weakness lies ahead. Lows also looking for a pullback here. Consolidating, but almost a diamond pattern. If you look, diamond patterns are pretty bearish reversal patterns. So you pull it up a diamond pattern here, and I think we're going to pull back. And if I talked about this, I believe, in my video the other day. I mean, if you go back just a year or 9 months, there's a $44 stock. If you go back a couple years, $20 stock. Unbelievable to see the move. I mean, Are consumers really buying that much lumber and $70 faucets? I don't know. I guess so. Maybe I'm just wrong. I'm crazy. All right, UPBLC in the chat room. Hopefully we have another Amazon today. That would be great. If there's one stock I'm looking to get into at the start of the week, I got into some Baidu puts. Baidu was up over almost 230. I saw some news out late last night, Wall Street Journal saying China is going to ease some foreign investment into their companies, internet companies. So that might be something to watch, and maybe that'll lend further bid support to the name. But it's been a nice move up here for Baidu. If we pull a trend line across from its record highs all the way across to where it closed at yesterday, if it does not butt above this level, we could be looking at a pullback here to horizontal support, which is very strong there. All right, I'll see you in the chat room. Everyone have a great trading day. UPBOptionMillionaires.com. It's time for Draghi. He's going to come on a little bit. I'm so excited.